if the idea of niching down makes your skin crawl. Welcome home. You're not broken and you are far from alone. This world loves to tell us, pick one thing, choose a lane, stick to it, right? It loves specialists. But what if that just doesn't work for you? What if your creativity is way more expansive, way more multi-passionate, way more diverse than just one thing? Today, we're going beyond the niche. I want to offer you a new way forward, a way of embracing all of who you are while still finding clarity, purpose, and focus. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Suarez, your creativity guide and doula, and welcome to my channel. In this space, we talk all things creativity, self-expression, spirituality, and self-actualization. I'm just here to ensure that all of the big, wild, passionate, visionary creatives are not robbing themselves and the world of their art and their heart and their power by trying to do things a different way. And I'm really excited to share with you all today that my meditation bundle for creatives can be found for free down below. You just have to sign up and they'll go straight to your email. And this is a series of 3 meditations. I find meditation is actually one of the best tools and practices to kind of clear the noise of other people's voices and to return to our heart and our connection. So if you're interested in any of those meditations, yeah, you can sign up for free down below. Let's get to it. So if you haven't yet watched my video, why multi-passionate creatives should not niche down, you might want to go do that before this video or after this video, or not at all. I don't know. I'm not your mama. You can do what you want. But in that video, we talk about why multi-passionate creatives and visionary artists should not let themselves be forced into that box of a niche or of a singular focus, right? Our creativity thrives on variety, on exploration, on inquiry rather than knowing the answers. And so trying to narrow that all down can really feel like cutting off a part of ourselves. And in my humble opinion, it's just not what we should do. It's not what we should do, right? But let's be honest, the world wasn't really made with us in mind. And if you're at that point in your career when you're thinking about how do I begin to share my work, right? Whatever your medium is, how do I begin to share my work? Then very likely you've come across this idea of the niche or this hurdle of the niche or whatever your relationship to the niche is, right? Because it's in that phase of that bridge between me and the world that this really becomes something for us to grapple and play with. And so if we're choosing not to go down the niche route, what else is then available to us? That's what we're going to talk a little bit about in this video. Okay, so if you are not a if you are not a niche person, you're a visionary artist, a multi-passionate creative, right? Your magic isn't in that like one thing. It's in being a synthesizer, an innovator, a web builder, a bridge builder, a leader. Your magic lies in that multi-passionate power. So rather than asking yourself, what's my niche? What would happen if you asked yourself, what's my mission, right? Like here we are. We're talking about the Via Creativa. We're talking about creating art, sharing art as a self-actualization process, as a spiritual process. So then what is the sacred task? What is the mission? What is the offering? What is the purpose? What is the reason for both creating and sharing these experiences, this art, this flavor of your heart? What's my mission, right? And it can sound a little bit grandiose and heavy, but it also lends itself to more expansiveness, to more permission, right? You can think of it as your North Star, as just that guiding light, right? So it's beyond even having one medium or one idea or even one audience. It's simply about your why, that thing that is drawing you forward? What's the call? Follow the call, right? Find that question or that theme that lights you up and let that lead you. Let that be the source from which all your creativity then flows. For me right now in my life, that North Star is inspiring liberation and connection through creative expression, right? And so whatever I'm creating, is this yielding in more freedom? Is this making me more free? Is this making another more free? Is this allowing us to connect? Am I able to connect to myself more deeply? Can another connect to themselves more deeply? Can we all connect to the divine in some way through this, right? If the answer to those questions is yes, then bueno, I'm good, right? I don't need to justify this to anyone else. The thread itself is being woven, and I just need to trust in the process. So, how do you find your North Star, right? There are many ways. There are many, many ways. A book that I love that really plays around with this idea, is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I think it's a great, great, great one. 3 things you can do. One is you can look back, right? Find the thread, like walk that thread all the way back. What are the passions, the interests, the colors, the textures, the sounds, the places, the people? What are the things that you've always been curious, right? You've always been curious about and drawn in by, the things that light you up, the things that you've had so many questions about, right? That you're like, wow, I'm interested in this. I want to talk to this person more about this. The things that have given you that, like, ooh, puppy dog energy. I'm so excited about this. Like, I'm so excited to share this with the world. I'm so excited to learn more about this. What are the things that have always lit you up? Sometimes these can be sort of hard to identify, especially if you are someone who has always stayed close to your heart and followed that, because it's so a part of who you are that maybe you don't see it, or maybe it seems so simple, right? Maybe you're someone like, well, I've just like always loved books, and that seems like a nothing thing, but that's not a nothing thing. Not everyone has always loved books, right? Or maybe you're just like, wow, forever I've been drawn in by rainbows. I have a friend and she has such a strong connection to rainbows. And this to so many might seem so intangible or ephemeral, but for her, it guides her places. Rainbows are a metaphor for something else. It allows her to translate the world to relate to others, right? She has a whole fashion brand and she hand paints rainbows on these beautiful pieces of clothing. Vanush Love, please go check her out. I'll link her down below. So this theme of rainbows have been a thing for her whole life. And so maybe if she wasn't hand painting rainbows on these gorgeous pieces of clothing, maybe she'd be printing rainbow stickers, right? Or maybe she'd be creating events that are all a different color of the rainbow, right? I also had a friend that did a series like that with the chakra series. Maybe she'd be really drawn to teaching people about the chakras because that's all about colors. Like, we don't get to decide where the call is leading us. Just trust, honor, and follow that call. And if you look back through your life, if you look around your current interests, your current community, the things and the people you're drawn in by to, there are likely some similarities, right? So find those and let that start to be your breadcrumbs. Number 2, ask why. Ask why. Why do you create, right? What is that thing that gets you from your seat, from your couch, from the street, onto your computer, your easel, your camera, your dance floor? Why? What is the thing that's moving you? What are you hoping to experience? What are you hoping to reveal? What are you trying to get out of that experience, right? Of that moment in time? What is that deeper purpose behind your work? Who are you trying to serve? What are you trying to liberate the world out of? Or what are you trying to initiate us into, right? We get to number 3, which is embrace the big question, right? There are times, especially for us multi-passionate creatives, where it's not about going big, it's about like coming down, baby steps. When you are trying to identify this mission, this guiding statement, allow that why to lead you into that big question, that question that feels like this question is more than a question. It's a journey. It's something that I need to understand about the universe, about the nature of reality, right? What is that question that feels too big to answer, right? Yet too significant to ignore, and see where that takes you. I remember being like a kid, being like 4 years old, leaning against a car, looking up at the night sky. I think I was talking to my brother or my mom. I've had this moment multiple times of just being like, but why are we here? Right? Not like why, what is my purpose? Like, why do we exist? For me, the fact of existence, of there being like a material reality, didn't and still doesn't totally make sense, right? Because there's a part of me that I'm like, it could just be the nothingness, right? I would be like, why are we not the nothingness? That was my question. Why are we not the nothingness? And in some ways, I can trace my thread back to this question of why are we not the nothingness, which I still haven't answered. I don't expect to answer necessarily in this lifetime, but that question has evolved and taken many different forms. But that yearning, what is that? That question that is magnetizing me towards what I know is significant, even if I don't yet know what the answer is, right? I really hope y'all stuck with me through that one. I'm going to trust that you did. And so, for example, your North Star could be something like, how does storytelling help people heal? And I ask that question and I think of events or organizations like the Moth, where they have their live storytelling event, but then they also have a podcast, right? I think about people that write books, but that also teach others how to write or how to unearth their story. Maybe it's even their brand story, right? It's in marketing. There are these threads that can be woven through our life. Maybe your North Star is, what does it mean to live authentically in a world full of noise, right? And maybe you approach it at the level of sound, right? When we're talking about a world full of noise, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to unearth my authentic voice through this, right? What is my sound? And you come at it from the level of the voice and singing and public speaking and vocal toning. So many ways that could be explored and experienced and shared with the world. Or maybe it's something like, what happens when we love the most repressed parts of ourselves? And maybe that takes you into being a psychologist or a plant medicine facilitator, or maybe it takes you into creating a game that helps us integrate our shadows, or maybe that leads you into being a horror movie director, right? You were exploring like, what are these most repressed part of ourselves and what happens when we love those? And so many different ways. That was a big bump. I don't know if y'all heard it. So many different ways to let a question and a passion, a curiosity lead us towards that mission and let that be the thread of our life, right? So whatever it is, let it excite. See, I am excited. Like, there is spanda in my body right now talking about all of these things, because so much of that thing for me is passion. It is creativity. It's excitement, right? So find the thing that excites you. Find the thing that moves you into action. Find the thing that you feel most expanded by. And also the thing that like you're grappling with a little bit, right? Like there's an element of challenge. There's an element of like, I really need to understand this fully, because then that gives you like meat to dig into, right? You don't know the answers. So you're tasked with going out and finding them. And once you have your North Star, right, it becomes your anchor. From there, you can follow that thread beyond mediums, beyond a singular audience, beyond a limited box, into a sense of expanded being, right? You can trust that as long as it aligns with your mission, that project, that platform, that collaboration, you can say yes to it without worrying, oh my God, is this a part of my brand? Is this in my niche? All those voices, right? Think of your creativity like a river, and that North Star is the fonte, is the source of it, right? It's where all of it flows from. That river bends, it turns into little waterfalls and tide pools over here. It goes, joins a river over there. It takes shape, but the source is all coming from that one place. So when you're anchored in that, you can really sort of like, surrender and let things flow. The creative spirit loves to flow. This way, you're not boxed in by a niche, but you're rooted by a purpose, right? By a mission. And yeah, you can flow freely while still having clarity and purpose and direction, which can be kind of challenging when you're like such a visionary thinker for sure. And so now you might be wondering, okay, but like, how are people going to find me if I don't do just one thing? One, like, okay, y'all, we're in the age of the internet. People are going to find you. If they're interested in what you're doing, they're going to find you, boo. And if you're talking about it, that's going to have to be a whole other video. Are people even able to find you, right? The people that you want to find you. Anyway, off track. Because here's the thing. People connect with a purpose, not a product. In the same way, I'm talking about you connecting with your purpose. Everyone is looking to connect with their purpose. Now more than ever, we see that people are wanting to support brands and organizations that they can stand behind, right? It's not just about the pretty packaging, or sadly, it still is about the bottom line often, but things matter, right? Their values matter. Is this a values aligned brand? Like, is this something that I can stand for? People are wanting to connect with purpose more than they're wanting to connect with product. And when your work is naturally aligned with a mission, then it'll draw in the right people that are also naturally aligned with that same mission. Because again, you don't want to be talking to people that, I was going to say this in Portuguese, I don't even know how to say it in English, but with people that ain't buying what you're selling, right? Because they just don't want it. So stop trying to force people to want something they don't want. Talk to the people that already get it, that are already vibrating and resonating at that same field, in that same field. Let people connect to not just what you make, but why you make it. So make sure that they know why you make it. If you're clear on why, that alone can be a huge part of your marketing and your messaging and your branding, right? Which is key when we're talking about this phase of like going from creating to delivering and sharing the product or the piece or the experience, right? And also there's a little bit of trust. Sometimes I feel that we can really infantilize our audience, our clients, our attendees, but let's just trust every single individual is multifaceted, right? So trust that they don't need you to be this like weird little, like very easily digestible box. They want you to be all of you. They want you to be a reflection of all that they are capable of, all that is within them. Trust, right? It's like that idea of when I see someone in their best and highest, they are also compelled to behave and be in that best and highest, right? Not from this like laden expectations place, but from this really like, okay, we're 2, 3, whatever, sovereign, powerful beings. I'm going to see you in your power, and that would allow you to step into your power rather than I'm going to see you in your victim. And that allows you to remain in your victim, right? But that's a conversation for another day. But yes, trust your audience. And honestly, when we zoom out, I kind of feel like the niche doesn't matter so much. Most people, this is not true everywhere, right? But most people that are beginning to ask these questions, where most of society is at this point, self-actualization is the overarching reach, right? We want to know how we can make our lives better, how we can become more free, more expressed, more authentic versions of ourselves. We want to know how we can treat our body right, how we can treat our mind right, how we can treat our heart right, how we can have nurturing, fulfilling connections, right? This all falls under the umbrella of self-actualization. So, it is what it is. Kind of love it. And as multi-passionate creatives, whether you're just beginning to embrace this path or you're already on it, we're already living that truth. We're already moving towards our most self-actualized, most exalted version of being. Okay, so before we wrap up today's video, one more reminder about the meditation bundle. You can get it totally for free. I'm really bad at not hitting this. The link is in the description below. There is a meditation for, wow, I really should know this. I think for overcoming self-doubt, finding your grounding, and something else. They're all good, I promise. And so here's your homework. Take some time to reflect on your North Star. What are you here to serve? What are you here to offer the world? What is that passion, that question, that curiosity that has driven you all the way to where you are now? find the pieces of that thread. And if you're inclined to share, please do so in the comments. I really want this to be a community space where we can inspire one another, bounce off of one another. Yeah. And if this resonates, hit that subscribe button. It helps a girl out. If you're enjoying this content, you watch that whole video. A subscribe is all I'm asking for. In exchange, mutual reciprocity, that's the word, is a vibe. Yes, go spend 15 minutes on your art, boo.